being named Person of the Year is a great honor. The folks that are members of NAIOP are really treasured customers of ours and treasured business partners, and in at least one case, a very amazing board member. So I really appreciate the folks that make NAIOP an amazing organization. So being named Person of the Year is a total honor. I feel quite humbled to have had that opportunity, and honestly, I feel like I'm sure there's a lot of worthier people. My grandfather used to say, the time to eat the cookies is when the cookies is being passed. So I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you for this honor. I don't feel ready for it, but I really appreciate it.
My name is Allison Otto, and I'm President and CEO at Auto Construction. The first moment that I met Mary, I could tell that things were going to change for the better for both of us, I hope. She was moving back to Sacramento from the East Coast, and she reached out to me to set up a lunch because she wanted to learn more about what it's like to be a woman in construction and in a family business in the Sacramento area. And I thought, wow, that was really forward thinking of her. I hadn't even done that, and I'd been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years by then. So we sat and chatted for a couple of hours over lunch, and I thought this is going to be the beginning of a really long relationship. Simply by being a female leader in the construction industry, Mary is making a difference. The company that she runs is not just in California, but in a few different states as well. And so the impact that she has just by being a female leader of a almost billion-dollar company in itself shows where the industry is going and the impact that she has. So if you live in Sacramento, especially in Land Park, East Sac, and other, I'm sure, close neighborhoods to downtown, you can't walk down a sidewalk without seeing Teichert and Sons on the sidewalk. And if you haven't noticed, you'll start looking down and you'll notice that Teichert is everywhere. So one of my favorite things about Teichert is their license number is number 8. So they're, I believe, close to 140 years old. Our license number has 6 digits, and we're 78 years old. So that just goes to show that they're here to stay and they're here for the long haul. But having license number 8, I mean, what else is there to brag about?
So far, my career journey has been one of unfolding opportunities. I feel pretty blessed to have been in a position to say yes to things when they came my way. So my father was always focused on being prepared for things as they unfold. And so having good education, was happy to be a graduate of Rio Americano High School right here in Sacramento, going off to college and then getting my MBA. It kind of made me ready for things coming my way. So I'd say my journey so far has been saying yes to things. So went off and went to Apple Computer and had a great time there, Bain Strategy Consulting, and then my very best yes was coming to Teichert a little over 20 years ago, and having the opportunity to follow in the footsteps of 4 generations of my family that came before me. Most specifically, Judd Riggs, he's technically my first cousin once removed, but I usually say uncle because that's less of a mouthful. So his invitation to come join this place was fantastic. I was having fun at Apple, but sometimes you have to say yes to opportunities when they come your way.
My name is Kelly Cowan, and I'm Executive Vice President at SB James Construction, and have been in the construction industry for over 30 years, primarily in the Sacramento region. Mary and I actually met in high school, and while we weren't as close then as we are now, she was smart, well-respected, really liked, always very thoughtful and present, and she's all those things now. When she came back to Sacramento and to start working in her family business, of course, our paths started crossing a little more through industry organizations. For example, we've been on panels together for the Women in Construction Conference, for the Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange and Construction Industry Education Foundation. And getting to know her through the industry, but also in a closer peer group, has been really great. So one of the great things about being friends with Mary and working collaboratively with Mary in our industry is that she's very authentic. And one thing that is a challenge for women in any male-dominated industry, or I should say for anyone who's maybe the only, whatever they are, in a room or in an industry that's not typical for them, is remaining authentic. It's common for us to want to, in our industry, how do I fit in if I don't dress like a man or talk like a man? And Mary is one of those who's stayed authentic to herself. When I think of the saying, your actions give others permission, I always think of Mary and how she asks great questions, she listens, gives her sort of opinion or perspective, and is a fast decision maker. And I'm just always very impressed by that. And it's even influenced me as a peer to do the same.
My name is Mary Teichert. I'm the CEO at AGC of California, and I first met Mary really almost 20 years ago, but I've really gotten to know her through my work at AGC of California, where she has been an active member, a board member, and a legacy leader of the industry. So Mary has just been a tremendous leader for the construction industry. She's someone who doesn't just lead her company, she does that very well. She also, though, is a leader within the construction industry. She sees her role as being more than just a business leader. She sees her role as being a leader to transform the industry for that next generation. She sees the responsibility that Teichert and that she holds to make the industry better. And so it's really been quite fun and inspiring to watch her continue to push on the industry to be better and to find ways in which it can be more inclusive and welcoming, and not just, I'll say, opening doors, but also finding ways where all people feel like they belong within the construction industry. So I was really intrigued and inspired when Mary invited me to actually go out and visit a former women's prison facility, where she talked about how we could transform that into potentially a training center for women and actually take away, I'll say, the stigma of being a prison and turn it into a training facility where we could actually inspire that next generation, and even looking at former incarcerated saying, you have a pathway and a future within construction. She sees our workforce as not being just limited to a select few, but open to all. And so she sees those opportunities and seizes upon them, and she really pushes our industry to challenge itself on its, I'll say, legacy preconceived notions to what its future legacy in being more inclusive and welcoming to all.
What drives my approach to leadership and community involvement has a lot to do with making this a place that I'm proud to live and that I am excited and delighted to have raised my children. So I'm hoping that all of us will be here for another 138 years, which is how long Teichert's been in business thus far. And that requires us to have an amazing place to live. And so part of it is the work we do literally supports the community. So all the roads people drive on, sidewalks we walk on, the schools we go to, the houses we live in, all got built in some fashion by infrastructure contractors. And I'm super proud that Teichert is one of the most impressive and oldest ones of those in our region.
I'm Dina Kimball, and I'm president and CEO of Royal Electric Company. I wish that I had first connected with Mary when we were both growing in our careers and in our family businesses, but it wasn't until several years later when we were both in leadership that our friendship began. I can't remember if Mary invited me first to go play golf with her and a couple of other female leaders, or if I invited Mary first when I was starting an informal peer group of female leaders in the industry. But either way, we were both intent on creating genuine female friendships within the construction industry. And since that time, Mary and I have been strong allies in supporting women in the industry. And we can compare company initiatives, we can run industry association meetings together, or we can laugh about life and motherhood over cocktails at happy hour. Mary has influence in three distinct areas for me. First, as a leader at Teichert, and she's fifth generation leading a successful business that's a staple in California. Second, in the industry, where Mary serves on boards of associations like Beavers and AGC of California, on industry liaison committees, or even as a political appointee to the Contractor State License Board. And third, as a mother to our two boys, Tommy and Chris. And I've gotten to watch Mary navigate all three areas that are all so important to her and choose where to engage and how to balance it all. And she has been a true friend and confidant and peer and mentor and cheerleader as we both navigate family business, motherhood, and transforming change in the industry.
So St. John's program for real change has been close to my heart for many, many years. So I first got to be a single mom back in 2015, so about 10 years ago now, and it was super hard. It's really hard to figure out basic things like, how do the kids get to soccer practice, and do I have the groceries for lunch, or did I forget to buy the bread, or what are all the things? That's already hard. And I have a job and a family and people who support me in a village. So it made me really start thinking about folks who don't have all that. And so St. John's does an amazing job, not only of supporting a community that's precious to me, which is all these single moms with their kids, but two, is they're really well organized. And over all these years of working with nonprofits, there's plenty of folks who have their heart in the right place, but may not be necessarily understanding how to get traction, and St. John's is really good at getting traction.
My name is Scott Richards. I'm the Chief Executive Officer for St. John's Program for Real Change. The mission of St. John's is to provide a safe space for women and children to heal and develop the skills necessary to transform their lives. And our vision is to end the generational cycle of poverty and homelessness in our community. And so St. John's is a place where a woman and her children can come, really focus on themselves, their goals and their purpose in life, and find a path towards a future that's sustainable and thriving for every person that comes to St. John's. It's important to have Mary as an advocate for our mission because we have shared values around creating opportunities for women in our community. She deeply understands the clients that we work with, the population that we're serving. She deeply understands Sacramento. She loves Sacramento. And she gets that we are working together to create opportunities. In my conversations with Mary, we're often talking about what opportunities can we create for jobs, for housing, for kids. That's the type of partner that is like an accelerant to our work and helps us be successful for the long term. A story of transformation that I witnessed really reminds me of the quote from a client that I met. She said, when you wake up every day and you're part of a community that believes in you, you wake up with purpose. And the reason I think that illustrates transformation is because when folks come here, they realize that there's a community that deeply believes in them, wants to invest in them, and wants them to be successful in the future. So we see stories all the time of somebody who's living on the streets. They come into our place, they start the recovery process from addiction, they're reunited with their kids and their family, they find a job, and they find permanent housing. That's the story of St. John's that we see through many clients. At the end of the day, it's about the community we build and the power of that community to support change for the long term. As we celebrate Mary tonight, I also want to share that the meal that we're enjoying is prepared by our clients through Plates Catering. Plates Catering is part of our St. John's Employment Training Program. So every dish that you enjoy tonight reflects the hard work and determination of the women on our program who are transforming their lives for themselves and their families.
I hope my leadership and this recognition help others continue to think about what can we all do for the communities that we're living in. Because frankly, being good at our jobs is a real blessing as it is. Having a work that you like to do and that you have the opportunity to do is awesome. But then the thing too is, well, then what are you going to do for other people? And so, you know, my friends and community members, so many people do so many amazing things. You know, it's a privilege to have the other folks who are willing to speak on my behalf this evening. All of them are super involved in the community, in our industry, but somehow finding a way to get yourself engaged, both with your own community and with the things that you care about, is super fulfilling. In addition to the thing that I'm the most proud about in my life is the chance to give something, what I have, the graces and gifts that I have, to whatever organizations you care about the most.
Congratulations to Mary.
Congratulations, Mary.
Congratulations, Mary.
Congratulations, Mary Ann.
Mary, congratulations on receiving NAIOP's Person of the Year award. It's so well deserved. I'm very proud of you and happy for you.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. I am super honored to have the folks here tonight who've been willing to join us. I really appreciate, first and foremost, the many men and women at Teichert who I'm privileged to call colleagues. So the employees at our company are the best in the industry, and I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate my community and the folks who are willing to speak on my behalf tonight. So I thank you for the friendship and the colleagueship that is making this industry amazing. Really appreciate my family. That's really the root of all the support I have, and also the roots of getting the privilege of running a family business. And thank you so much to NAIOP. I'm very honored to be Person of the Year. This is a great association and a great group of people and a wonderful evening. So thank you very much.